Imagine a captain standing on the bridge of a massive container ship. It is 3 a.m. To his left, he sees the glowing, golden lights of the Dubai skyline, a city that looks like a futuristic paradise. But to his right, on his radar screen, he sees something else. 3 fast attack boats are closing in. They have no flags. They are not responding to radio calls. This is the Strait of Hormuz. In this narrow stretch of water, the distance between a billion-dollar real estate deal in Dubai and a global economic collapse is only 33 kilometers. This is the tension the world ignores, but it is the tension that will decide if your life in the UAE remains a dream or becomes a nightmare. Dubai's skyline is still moving upward. Tourism hit record numbers in 2024. If you walk through the Dubai Mall or look at the cranes in Business Bay, everything looks perfect. The official government position is one of calm neutrality. They want you to believe the neighborhood is quiet. Underneath the luxury, the Strait of Hormuz is under more military and geopolitical pressure than at any point in the last 20 years. This is a 33-kilometer wide channel. The entire economy of the United Arab Emirates depends on this single exit. Economists estimate that if this strait closes, it will cost the global economy $1 trillion every single month. For the UAE, this is not a statistic. This is a survival issue. The UAE handles 14 million shipping containers per year. More importantly, it imports over 80% of its food. If the water stops moving, the shelves go empty. By the end of this video, you will understand the specific mechanism behind this exposure. You will see what this tension is already doing to prices and employment in the UAE. Most importantly, you will see exactly what the official messaging is leaving out. Let us look at what is real. Dubai's tourism in 2023 and 2024 was genuinely strong. International visitors exceeded 17 million. High-end real estate hit record values. The GDP growth is running well above the global average. None of this is a lie. But that success is running on a set of fragile conditions. It requires open shipping lanes. It requires stable regional security. It requires sustained foreign investor confidence. These foundations are under active pressure right now. Look at the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea that began in late 2023. A relatively small military group in Yemen forced global shipping companies to reroute. This added 14 days to shipping times and thousands of dollars to every container. It did not take a world war to disrupt the planet. It only took a few drones and missiles. Before we dive into how Iran specifically targets the UAE economy, I have a question for those of you living in the Gulf. Have you noticed a change in your grocery bills or the cost of electronics in the last 6 months? If you are seeing the hidden inflation that the news is not talking about, hit the subscribe button and drop the word price in the comments. We are building a community that tracks the real economy, not just the headlines. Stick with us, because what we are about to reveal about the oil lie will change how you view your bank account. There is a widespread assumption that the UAE economy runs on oil. This assumption is decades out of date. Understanding why it is wrong is essential to understanding the real danger. Dubai's GDP is now more than 70% non-oil. The economy has restructured around logistics, finance, real estate, and tourism. Jebel Ali Port is one of the top 15 ports on Earth. The Dubai International Financial Center manages assets that rival Singapore and Hong Kong. But all of these sectors depend on one thing: a reputation for being a stable, neutral hub. Singapore is a small, trade-dependent city-state just like the UAE. But Singapore spends decades building risk management frameworks and military credibility because they know their status is not permanent. The UAE's public communication does not reflect this risk. The official message is that everything is fine. That message is good for business, but it is not a real risk analysis. 20% of the world's oil transits through the Strait of Hormuz every day. Add 30% of the world's liquefied natural gas, mostly from Qatar. This is the most important energy choke point on Earth. The UAE imports 90% of its food. Almost all of it arrives by sea. The ports of Jebel Ali, Khalifa, and Khorfakan are all positioned relative to the Strait of Hormuz. A disruption here is not an oil crisis for the UAE. It is a hunger crisis. The UAE does have the Habsan-Fujairah pipeline, which allows some oil to bypass the strait. This reduces the danger for oil exports, but it does nothing for the import of consumer goods, pharmaceuticals, or food for 10 million people. In 2019, Iranian forces seized tankers in the strait and mined shipping lanes. These are documented facts. Insurance rates spiked. Several companies suspended services. A disruption of even 2 weeks would cause supermarket shortages in Dubai within days. Regional tension is not new, but something changed in September 2020. The UAE signed the Abraham Accords and normalized relations with Israel. This brought in billions in trade and Israeli technology. This also created a massive geopolitical target. Iran has explicitly identified countries that signed the Abraham Accords as having crossed a red line. The UAE is now a formal partner of Israel while operating only 200 kilometers away from Iran. This dual exposure is a new kind of risk that did not exist 10 years ago. The UAE tries to manage this with a sophisticated neutrality. Dubai remains a hub for goods moving into Iran. The U.S. Treasury has repeatedly sanctioned UAE-based companies for helping Iran evade sanctions. This reflects a reality: the UAE needs the Iranian market of 85 million people. The UAE is running the same play as Turkey. Turkey maintains trade with Russia while being a member of NATO. It is economically beneficial but extremely fragile. If the US demands that the UAE choose a side, the entire commercial infrastructure of Dubai could buckle under the pressure. This risk is already hitting your wallet. Marine insurance rates in the Gulf increased by 5 times after the recent escalations. This cost is passed directly to the consumer. Every percentage point increase in shipping costs becomes a higher price at the retail store. Unlike Saudi Arabia, the UAE has a very small domestic agricultural sector. It has less of a buffer. The UAE is an open, high-import economy. This means global shipping costs hit UAE residents faster than anywhere else in the region. If you work in logistics, this is a job security story. Jebel Ali Port handled nearly 15 million containers in 2023. If global shipping companies lose confidence in the safety of the Gulf, they will divert. We saw this in the Red Sea. Companies like Maersk and MSC diverted to the Cape of Good Hope. Oman is already building the port of Duqm outside the strait. They are preparing for a future where the Strait of Hormuz is too dangerous to use. The UAE has no equivalent alternative for its container logistics. Dubai's property market is at record prices, but you must look at who is buying. The high-end market is driven by Russians and international capital looking for a tax haven. This is not a reflection of the local economy. The mid-market, where the middle class lives, is much more sensitive. Areas like Dera, Al Nahda, and Ajman are tied to local employment. If the regional tension causes businesses to pull back, these are the properties that will lose value first. The immigrant workforce makes up 88% of the population. They are the most exposed. In 1990, when Iraq invaded Kuwait, 800,000 workers had to leave in weeks. They had no safety net. The construction pipeline in the UAE depends on investor confidence. If the news cycle becomes dominated by missile exchanges, private development stops. The workers in hospitality and construction are the first to feel the adjustment. The UAE is not collapsing. It has over $1 trillion in sovereign wealth. It is resilient. But the structural exposure to a war with Iran is much larger than the government will ever admit. If you work in construction, hospitality, or logistics in Abu Dhabi or Dubai, I want to hear from you. Have you seen a project delayed or a contract not renewed in the last few months? Drop your experience in the comments as data for the rest of the community. If you want the mechanism behind the headline, subscribe. Next week, we look at the UAE sovereign wealth strategy and whether it actually benefits the average resident. See you in the next one.